without further ado, this one's going to be alley-oop right to you because I know you got a lot to say. We're going to be talking about what happened last night on Dynamite. Saraya made her debut at AEW Dynamite Grand Slam in New York City last week. And this week they were in Philadelphia. And this is Saraya's first time on an AEW microphone. But it's a controversial segment to say the least. But I wanted your thoughts and impressions on this, Mo, because when I saw this, I was like, I know Mo's going to raise hell over this. And I just wanted to know your impressions and thoughts because I have my own, but yours are more important at the current moment. So
Oh my god. First of all, I didn't watch the show last night. I only looked up this segment because y'all would not stop asking me, "Oh, what's your take on this?" I'm like, "I didn't watch the show." I'm like, "How bad is it?" I didn't even go on Twitter yet. I want to have a fresh opinion on this. All
Mm.
right? I don't like my opinion to be tainted. I'm watching it. Paige comes out, and I mean, she's a little rusty on the mic. It's expected that she's gonna be a little rusty on the mic. I wasn't upset with anything in the beginning, but then she awkwardly brought out the entire women's division after this whole promo about um almost like acting like she's like the leader of this whole women's revolution. It's like you did that over there in WWE. Don't know what the fuck that got shit to do over here, bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just came in. And then she's telling the AEW locker room to come out, which it was a total of like what, 5 people behind her or something like that. About 5 people, including Tony. I'm thinking to myself, why is Tony moving on this newbie's time? Like, why is she jumping when Paige says to jump? That was a
Right.
problem to me immediately. I'm like, why is she reporting to her? If anything, Tony should be the one introducing Paige, if that was the case. But as the segment continued, she's over here talking about Tony like she's the GM and she hired her personally and that she crowned her as champion. I'm thinking to myself, God fucking damn it. She just sat there and went in about how she's being utilized properly. And Homegirl got the belt on her and she can't even get a mic. She can't even speak for herself.
Mm-hmm.
But she's utilized properly? Okay. 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 And then surely enough, because the whole segment was choppy. It was choppy and it was all over the place. The transition sucked. Britt came out with her group of other bitches, and surely
Yeah.
enough, it went from being a Paige agenda to a Britt Baker agenda. And I'm just thinking to myself, you're champions in this room, and I haven't heard her talk. She feels the least important. We somehow went from Paige to Britt dragging Tony and making it about her and she threw a jab at Paige for her neck or whatnot, and then she low key just twisted it onto how she lost the belt because of Tony, but she like for some reason was introducing Tony's match that she was supposed to have with Serena Deeb, which I thought was weird. I'm like, again, why can't the champion just do this on her own? She's having a match with Serena Deeb. Why can't she be out by herself, no Paige, no Britt Baker, no army of other bitches that were just standing there, just like they're waiting for the bus or something.
Yo,
Why,
that's mad funny.
why, you know, couldn't my girl just take the mic and talk for herself? And then Serena came out, they had a match. They just had this whole clusterfuck going on. And Paige was trying so hard. I felt so bad for her at some point because I know again she hasn't been in the ring for a while, but she was trying her hardest to keep up with Britt, and Britt was eating her the fuck up on the mic, bro. Like she was eating her the fuck up, and I felt bad. Like she tried comparing her name from Britt Baker to the word I can't say on YouTube,
Yeah.
and like the crowd literally just did nothing, crickets, crickets, crickets. And then, surely enough, as if this segment couldn't get any worse, between just all the crossing over just to make it about Brit, a lumberjack match? For what? For what?
Right.
First of all, half the people that Paige brought in weren't even signed yet. No one introduced them and said who they are and why they specifically came out as a group because they don't represent the whole AEW faction. I'm not faction locker room.
Mm-hmm.
That was so weird and confusing to me. And I only sat through the match because it's Serena Deeb and Tony. I love them. And I just went off last show about how, like, out of that fatal four way, my eyes was stuck on those two.
Mm-hmm.
But it took away from them. And what bothers me the most about this is that they're so caught up with their favoritism towards brand new Saraya Page. I'm gonna call her all three names. I'm gonna butcher it. I'm gonna let y'all know right now. Um, and Britt Baker. That once again, you guys are making your top champion, Tony Storm, just feel like she's just there. Like, why does she feel like the least important person out of the whole entire room and she's holding the belt? This is the same problem y'all just had with Thunder Rosa. Y'all made
Mhm.
other people and prioritized other people over Thunder Rosa. This came
Mhm.
off very diva esque. I felt like I was back in
Yes.
like 2013, especially when they threw in a lumberjack match. I'm like, why? Like, what is the purpose? Like, these two women are so good. They don't need an army of people circling the ring. They didn't even do nothing. They didn't have no role throughout the whole match, to be honest. They was just
Mhm.
there just be a prop at that point. So it just annoyed me because it's hard enough to keep the momentum going as a babyface champion. It does help when you have a villain to, bounce off of. But you didn't let Homegirl have the mic, and you threw her into a lumberjack feud with Serena that had to be introduced by Britt. And it's like, where is the layers that are being added to Tony Storm as a character and a champion? That's how you stay invested in a babyface.
Right.
You know what I mean? We still have to somewhat feel a little bit sorry for you, but believing you as being like a fighting champion. So it's like, who is she battling necessarily with? Because you literally had Serena just come in, be a Brit. She didn't even get to really talk. Tony didn't get to talk. And the match just happened. It was a good match. I only watched it because it was those two and I love my girls, but I was just like, what is this? Like, this felt like I had Vince McMahon all over it. It's like you got Tony Storm, this amazing freaking talent. I adore this women's System Young Classic. Like, I love, love, love this girl, and you're already fumbling it. Like, you can't even blame the language barrier this time. You
Right.
cannot.
You can't.
You can't, because Tony Storm speaks clear, she speaks well for herself, and she oozes babyface charisma. So why don't you just let her be
Mm.
and put more focus on her and put her at the top? Put breaks. Britt Baker needs to alternate on whatever show she's on. She needs to have like an off week or something because she does not need to be interjected every single time. You lost the belt, sweetie. Move to the back of the fucking line. Why are you coming out? Why are you coming out? She needs someone else to work with. That's just me. It makes me mad. And like I just applauded Cokehead last week, and yes, you're gonna get the name back because you're getting lashings, okay? You're getting lashings, Cokehead. Because what is with you fumbling the woman?
Mm.
You invest in Jay Cargill and you're doing perfect with her. Why do you keep disrespecting your top world women's title?
Mm.
Answer that for me, Cokehead. Answer that for me. Anyways, go on, Jordan.
So there's a couple of things that I noticed about this segment, and I feel like part of it was just rust, right? Because Saraya hasn't been in the ring for God knows how long. So I expected there to be some rust on the mic, as you said. I didn't like, to piggyback off of what you were saying, I didn't like this feeling that they were going to build this Britt Baker Page feud as the A feud, as the primary feud in the women's division. I thought that the way that they did that very much is giving the way that they did um the way the WWE had like Rock and Cena as like their main feud, and then Jericho and Punk is like their B feud when Jericho and Punk were going for the WWE title. Granted, Rock and Cena were the two biggest names, but I feel like pride and pride alone shouldn't be an incentive. You should be fighting for something. And I believe that when you're challenging each other for a championship opportunity, the stakes are that much higher, and it only raises the prestige of the championship. So I didn't like the fact that it felt like Tony Storm and Serena Deeb were taking a back seat to the primary women's championship. I think that that's like the first thing. Um, I think the second thing for me was I felt like Saraya was getting bodied on the mic, and then she just continued to try to go for the lowest hanging fruit. Um, like when the whole Brit and you know what word rhyming scheme didn't work, then she was like, well, now that I'm in a place where the boss actually listens to me. And I'm like,
Oh Lord, that was so corny. It was
To
so
me, that
corny.
was corny. It was unnecessary, and it was just like cats know that like WWE had you on payroll when you weren't doing anything because you were recovering from you have gone on record and in public to talk about how well WWE has treated you. So why even bring that up, even if it's an in character promo? Like that has nothing to do with this at all. And I just thought it was just overall corny. It was very, very cringe. I don't think that it did anything for the company. I don't think that it did anything for the women's division. And I think that they just need to rethink this whole thing. And once again, to kind of go off the Brit thing that I love that you mentioned, Britt Baker is very much giving AEW Charlotte. Like somehow, some way, always in the spotlight. And, I feel like she is a credible talent. I think that she's immensely talented. I think that, to be honest, to date, she's probably been their best women's champion. I'll give her that. She's been their best women's champion. She's cut solid promos. She's cut solid matches. But it's like, I also just think that you can't slander another company for what they do and then essentially employ the same practices on your company with just a different name. You can't, you know, yeah. That was just my whole thing with it. It was just a very weird segment. I didn't like the direction they were going in, unless this is going to lead to a blood and guts match with Paige, Tony, Athena, um, and versus Jamie, Britt, and Serena and whomever else. I don't see the point in it. I don't see the purpose in it. Um, but going from that and moving on, speaking of AEW, something that they are doing really, really well.